Greetings, everyone. My name is Nadine Grigsby, and I am honored to be part of the 2022 United Nations 16 Days Activism on ending gender-based violence on women in ministries. For many victims of domestic violence, the world can be a lonely, isolating, and fearful place to be. Um, and unfortunately, this is happening even in ministry, even in the church. And occasionally, extending a hand and letting someone know that you are there for them can bring great relief. So, I'm here to share with you that if you know someone or you suspect that a woman in your ministry, a woman in your church, even if it's the pastor's wife, is a victim of domestic violence, don't let the fear of saying the wrong thing prevent you from reaching out to that woman. Waiting for the perfect words or waiting for the perfect time can keep you from seizing the opportunity to change somebody's life or even save somebody's life. So, I want to challenge you that if you or your loved one or someone that you know, especially a woman in ministry, a woman in your church, if you suspect that they are or you are a victim of domestic violence and you're living here in the United States of America, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233, and you will get confidential assistance from people that are trained, from trained advocates who are there to help you 24/7. That means 24 hours a day. You can call that hotline and you can get help for yourself or for someone or another woman who is a victim of domestic violence. We want to end domestic violence in our ministry. And you may be wondering, well, how can I help besides making a call, right? Number one, you can start a conversation. If you suspect that a woman in your church or in your ministry is a victim of domestic violence, I want you to start a conversation. You can bring up the subject of domestic violence by saying things like, I'm worried about you, or I'm concerned about your safety, or I've noticed some changes in you and I'm concerned. Maybe you've seen this person wearing clothing to cover bruises, or you've noticed that this woman has suddenly become unusually quiet in the church and withdrawn. Those are signs of abuse. So let that person know that you will be discreet about the information that they disclose to you, and let them know that you are available and that you are offering a sympathetic ear. It's very important. It's important that you learn the warning signs of domestic violence. And it's good to know these things in the church. It's happening to our daughters, it's happening to our first ladies, it's happening to our deaconesses, it's happening to our female pastors all the time. And it seems like in ministry that we're even more fearful to speak out because we don't want to destroy the reputation of the church. But so that's why we have to be keen and keep an eye out for our women who may be suffering in silence. It's important that you learn the warning signs of domestic violence. Many people, they will cover up the abuse for various reasons. And we get more into that, but I want you to understand that there are physical signs like black eyes and busted lips and red or purple marks on their neck, a sprained wrist, bruises on their arms. This can be happening to any age, the woman at any age. It can be happening to our girls. So keep an eye out for our young children. Keep an eye out for our women. Domestic violence is wrong and we have to put an end to it. And that's why we are participating in the 60 Days United Nations Activism initiative. There's also emotional signs like low self-esteem, fearful, eating strange eating patterns, anxiety, substance abuse, symptoms of depression, loss of interest in what you once enjoyed. Talking about suicide. It happens in the church. If someone says to you, I wish I can just go home and be with the Lord, ask yourself why they're saying these things to you. Don't put a blind ear. Don't close your eyes. All women are suffering in silence, and some of them need your help. There's also behavioral signs like becoming withdrawn or distant, canceling appointments or meetings at the last minute. You notice someone, they're always canceling their appointments, being late often, excessive privacy, concerns about their personal life, don't want to talk about their personal life and what's happening at home at all, isolating themselves from friends and families. Just keep an eye out for that. I know sometimes you wonder, well, if you're in the church and you can reach out for help, then why do you stay in this situation? What are the reasons why a domestic violence a person who is in domestic violence situation would stay, especially when she's a part of the ministry. And that can be hard for any of us to understand. But there are many reasons why they stay. Number one, they can be a fear of being harmed if they do leave. That or they still love their partners, they still love their husbands, they still love their fathers. What's happening? They still love their uncles because these are family and they take advantage of the women in their family, and we have to keep an eye out for them. Their partner promised to change, the husband promised to change, the father promised to change. Um, they're thinking that the abuse is their fault, especially the younger generation, the younger impressionable minds, like teenage girls who are living in a domestic violence situation. They're thinking that the violence is their fault. So, and some women, they stay for their children, they have a lack of self confidence, there's a fear of isolation and loneliness, they don't want to be alone, pressure from family, their lack of means, they are not working, no money, they need transportation, they cannot survive on their own. So, if they have someone like you who can reach out and help them in this situation, making them know that, hey, I'm going to hold your hands, I'll be there for you, you can make a difference in the life of a person who is living in silence, suffering in silence, and living in a domestic violence situation. And finally, offer some support, specific support. Help this person find resources. Look up telephone numbers, shelters, social services, attorneys, counselors, social groups. There's so many information available to you, and they may not have the opportunity to find it because they're so stressed out with their situation. So if you can help someone to get resources that can help them out of that situation, then kudos to you. And finally, help them develop or form a safety plan. If you suspect that someone is in a domestic violence situation, help them develop a plan, create a safety plan that can help put this action of domestic violence to an end. For example, I once heard a woman who was in a domestic violence situation say that she would write, "Help me," on a note. And when she gets outside, she'll stick it in the first person hand that she sees. Help me. That could, give a red flag because their lives are at risk and need a way out. So it's good if you can help them to devise a plan. Maybe help them think of the steps that they can execute this plan. Maybe by packing an emergency bag, place an emergency bag, leave it at the door, have an emergency bag with money and clothing just hidden, that if you find yourself being threatened or hurt, you can grab your bag and run away. Maybe prepare excuse where they could leave, tell them what they can say if they feel threatened, or a code word that will alert family or friends, or like I said, an escape bag with cash and important documents like birth certificates and social security cards, keys, toiletries, and a change of clothes. These are great escape plans that are women who are suffering in silence. These are tips that they can use, and if you can help someone today, please take time out. So finally, I want to reiterate again that if you or a loved one find yourself in a domestic violence, or you suspect that there is someone in a domestic violence situation in your church or in your ministry, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline right here in the United States at 1-800 799-7233. Thank you so much for your time, and let's look out for a woman.